Okay, so for this one, we're actually adding integers, but we're going to use an application. So that means we're using real-world problems and we're recognizing integer keywords. So that's kind of why we've been doing the GimKit and why we've been doing the quizzes. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on my drawing tools. I'm going to go to the first slide. So it says a fish is at 12 meters below the surface of the ocean. What is its elevation? So if I'm below the surface of the ocean, remember sea level is at 0. So if I'm below that, I'm going to be negative 12 meters. Plus, I know it's a fish, so I know it's got to be below, otherwise it's dead. All right, I have a seabird, and it's 28 meters above sea level. So I've got my sea level at 0, and it's 28 meters above. So that's going to be a positive 28 meters. If the bird is directly above the fish, how far apart are they? So I have my number line. I have negative 12, and I have positive 28. And then I'm going to put 0 in the middle, okay? This isn't very precise because if I was being more precise, I would probably move it over a little bit. So that it was more like here. Okay, so I need to think, how am I going to get from here to here? I'm going to add 12, right? And to get from here to here, I'm going to add 28. So how far apart are they? So 12 plus 28 is going to give me 40 meters. So how far apart are they? 40 meters. Distance is always positive. All right, so at 6 a.m. the temperature was negative 7. And then by 9 a.m. the temperature had dropped 9 degrees. Well, that keyword right there is dropped. So dropped right here. So I'm starting at negative 7 and I'm adding a negative 9 just to kind of keep that in perspective. So I'm starting at negative 7 on my number line and I'm adding a negative 9. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I end up on negative 16. So what is the temperature now? Negative 16 degrees Fahrenheit. I could have chose to do it with chips if I'd wanted to and use 0 pairs. So now I want you to try these problems and you want to choose your own strategy or you want to have some kind of strategy that you're using. So at 6 a.m. the temperature was negative 4 and then the temperature dropped 5 degrees. So that's plus a negative 5. So I can do my chips if I want to. So I have yellow, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have a total of 9 negative chips. But it's a unit of measure, so negative 9 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, the temperature was negative 6 on Tuesday, and then it rose to negative 3. So what number would represent the change? So I'm actually going to do a number line here. I'm going to start at negative 6 and I'm ending at negative 3. So I'm going to fill in these missing values just to make it easier for myself. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. So what was the change? 3 degrees Fahrenheit. All right. At 6 a.m. the temperature was negative 5 and by 1 the temperature was positive 10. What was the change in the temperature during the day? So they're starting at negative 5 and they're ending on positive 10. So I'm trying to figure out the distance, the change. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 15 degrees Celsius was the change. The price of 1 share of stock increased by $3. Then it decreased by 8. So I have 3 and then it decreased by 8. Which expression shows the change in the price of the stock in 2 days? So this would be my expression, 3 plus negative 8. And then to figure it out, I can use my chips. So I have 3 positives, 1, 2, 3, and I have 8 negatives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm going to cross them out and make my 0 pairs. So that's 1, 2, 3 0 pairs. And I'm left with 5 negatives. So if they wanted us to, it would be a negative $5 change. So now they're asking us to use points application questions. So Sean is playing a game and he receives 2 points for every correct answer and negative 5 points for every incorrect answer. After 4 questions, Sean has a score of 1. So right now he has 1 positive. So I'm going to go ahead and put that 1 positive in there. Then it says if he answers the next question incorrectly, what will Sean's score be? Well, he gets 5 points off for every negative, or for every question he gets wrong. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can make a 0 pair, and I'm left with negative 4. So his score would be negative 4. The next one says the stock increased by 3 and then decreased by 4. So this would be my expression. I can use my number line. So I'm starting on 3 and I'm going 4 in the negative direction. So I land on negative 1. So negative $1, or they owe $1. All right, this is kind of a football example. So the team gained 8 yards on the first down and then lost 5 yards on the second down. So I have 8 and then I lost 5. What is the total amounts of yards gained by the offense? So I'm starting on 8 and I'm going in the negative direction 5. So they only gained 3 yards. But it's still a positive. All right, so now we're talking about elevation. Elevation is the distance above 0 or above sea level. So a submarine is searching for underwater features. It is accompanied by a small aircraft. So I'm gonna start by drawing myself a picture. So I have my water, which is sea level. I have a submarine. And then I have, it says an aircraft, so I have an airplane. I don't know if you guys can hear the airplane in the background. So, and then there's a small underwater vehicle. So we've still got that vehicle. I got to figure out where it's going. It says at one time the aircraft is 200 meters. So it's 200 meters above sea level. The submarine is 45 meters below sea level. So that's negative 45. And then the robotic vehicle is 250, so it's way far down there. So I'm going to change colors again, and I'm going to go way down here. So this is my underwater robotic vehicle, and it's negative 250. So they want to know what is the difference in the height of the submarine and the aircraft. Okay, so I'm going to change colors. So to get from 0 to 200, that's 200. To get from 45 to 0, that would be 45. So the distance between the two would be 245 meters. Then they want to know what is the distance between the underwater robotic vehicle and the submarine. Well, this one's a little bit different because we're talking about the distance between these two and they're both negative. So I know that their signs are the same. So to go all the way up 250, I'd be at 0. So I'm actually going to do 250 minus 45, and I end up with 205 meters. So there's 205 meters between them. And I could have done I could do like an extra practice with this where I draw it out if I wanted to. I just think that would be hard. I would count by 5s if I did that, 5s or 10s. All right, so now they're talking about equations, and I want you to try some of these. I've taught one, so now I want you to try it. So pause the video, try it out. So it says the flying fish was swimming at a depth of 12 meters below sea level and swam to the surface and leapt out of the water at a height of 4 meters above sea level. How many meters did the height of the fish change overall? So we have 0. It was 12 below, so that's negative 12. And then it got to 4 above. So the difference here is 12. The distance here is 4. So 4 plus 12 would be 16 meters. So that fish was able to go 16 meters and change. And it's positive because it's going from negative to positive. Now we have another one, same concept, with the submarine and the underwater vehicle. So I'm going to draw myself another picture. I have my 0. I know that the aircraft, and I know I have a submarine, and then I know I have an underwater vehicle. Okay, I know that the submarine is 55 meters below sea level, so that's going to be negative 55. I know the aircraft is 200 meters above sea level. And I know that the robotic vehicle is 227. So I want to figure out the height between the submarine and the aircraft. So I know that it's 55 to get from here to here, and it's 200 to get from there to there. So I'm going to add 200 plus 55, and I have 255 meters. My next one, if you remember from the last problem, both of these are negative, so I have to find the difference between the two of them. So I'm going to do 227 minus 55. So I get 172 meters difference here. Okay, so when the signs are the same, when they're both underwater, you're going to subtract. All right, so the last thing we're going to talk about are money application problems. So if I owe money to the bank, that's a negative sum, so I have negative 60. If I get $85, that's a positive 85. So she deposits it into her account. How much money does she now have in the bank account? Well, one thing I know is that if I have my 85, right? And I go in the negative direction 60, so that's like subtracting 60, I'm going to end up at 25, and it's still going to be positive because I didn't make it all the way to 0. It would have to be negative 85 to make it to 0. So how much does she have? $25. Okay, Andre has $37 in the bank, so that's positive, and then writes a check for $87. So when I write a check, that's a negative thing. All right, after the check's been cashed, what will the bank balance show? So I'm going to start at 37, and I'm going to go in the negative direction, 87. So let's think about that. So to get to 0, that's 37, right? So I only have 50 more to go because 87 minus 37 is 50. And it's going to be past the 0 mark, so it's definitely going to be negative $50. So he's going to owe the bank $50. Now what I need you to do is go ahead and answer our cool down questions. So Claire has $150 in her bank account. She buys a bike for $200. What is her balance now? So think about what would happen if I buy something. Is that positive or negative? What would my expression look like? She earns $75 from delivering newspapers and then deposits it into her account. What will her account balance be then? So you're kind of building on this question. So she has $150, she buys a bike, then she deposits $75. So where is she at now? If you need more help with this, Khan Academy is a great place to look. Mr. Morgan does a great video. There's Study Buddy, like contact a friend, or set up an appointment with me on Calendly.